Hey, hunting family, you are tuning into the Tracks and Tackle podcast, brought to you by Menser Outdoors.
Hey there, hunting family. Welcome back to another episode of Tracks and Tackle, the podcast where we dive into everything from hunting tips to the wonders of the great outdoors. Today, we have a truly special guest joining us. I'm excited to introduce Brett Garretson from Alpine Honeybee Farm. Brett and I go way back. We grew up hunting together and shared countless adventures in the great outdoors. And not only is Brett passionate outdoorsman, he's also been a hunting guide with experience harvesting anything from elk to bears and everything in between. Today, Brett is here to share his expertise on the incredible benefits of bees to nature, as well as to reminisce about some of our shared hunting experiences and adventure. So sit back, relax, get ready for an episode that's buzzing with excitement. Let's dive into the world of bees and hunting tales with Brett Garretson.
Hey there, hunting family. It's time to give a shout out to a company that's been keeping our communities moving since 1995. I'm talking about Interstate Garage Doors. For nearly 3 decades, Interstate Garage Doors has been the go-to choice for comprehensive garage door services in South Central PA, as well as the surrounding Hagerstown, Maryland, and Martinsburg, West Virginia areas. And get this, they're not just any company. They're veteran-owned and family-operated with a proud history of serving both residential and commercial clients. Their professional technicians are the real deal, offering top-notch installations from industry-leading manufacturers and expert repairs for all garage door makes and models. From residential garage doors to overhead doors and openers, Interstate Garage Doors does it all. So whether you're a hardworking contractor building homes or a homeowner looking for service or just needing an upgrade, you can trust Interstate Garage Doors to get the job done right. And hey, they're not just experts in garage doors, they're also experts in giving back to the community, sponsoring podcasts like Tracks and Tackle. Are you ready to experience the Interstate difference for yourself? If so, here's a little something extra for our loyal podcast listeners. Use promo code Tracks and Tackle when you contact Interstate so they know you heard about them here. Just visit igdoors.com today to get an estimate or request service, or give them a call at 717-263-3150. Don't wait. Take the first step towards a smoother, more secure garage today. Cool. So we got the gang all here. We took a little bit of time. I'm glad we started early. We hopped on early and worked out some technical issues, but great day today because we got an awesome guest for you guys. Brett is with us. So Brett, man, been looking forward to doing this. I'm glad that you said yes when I had reached out. And Brett and I grew up together. We sort of ran the hills here of the South Mountain in Pennsylvania and cut our teeth hunting and baseball and sports and high school. Brady, we went to elementary together. Brett and I were old enough that we remember when Bendersville named the mascot the Bulldog.
What was it before the Bulldogs?
I don't think there was a mascot before then.
I don't remember, to be honest with you.
But they don't even use the school anymore, Brett.
Really?
Yeah,
Did not know that either.
They saw 2 young studs coming through, and they couldn't think of a better mascot.
Yeah.
Well, I guess I did know they consolidated Biglerville, Orangeville, Bendersville all together that was been quite a few years ago, I guess.
Yeah, it's been a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah. I had to jog my memory a little bit. So
It's all good, bro. So how you
And
been?
you're keeping up to date with current news all the way out west. I love it.
yeah. Yeah. Well, doing well. And I appreciate you guys having me on. This is, as you well know, the technical difficulties were more on my end, and I'm not used to this type of thing. And I thought it would be kind of fun and reconnect and hopefully give the audience out there a little bit of info and an interesting chat.
Yeah, yeah. So I mean, look, anybody that's listening to this show, like they're sort of built like we are, and they love the outdoors, or they just are trying to, follow Brady or my story. So what we started to do, and we've been doing this for about a year, is what we started to do was just log our hunts and our events and stuff. And you've been to our cabin, we've hunted, and we've got a logbook. I think I shared with you where we go up to the cabin and we just diary, hey, we were up and we put seed out, on a food plot this summer, or we were up and we did split firewood, or we were up and we, killed 3 buck and 12 doe, whatever happens while we're up there. And so Brady and we just started taking a lot of pictures and capturing video, and thought, man, it'd be great to just sit down and talk about this. And so we've been doing this for about a year, and we're trying to get like different guests on. And you and I had caught up a week or so ago, maybe a couple of weeks ago. And you had moved out west many years ago and sort of set up shop out there. And as we can see in the background, man, you got yourself a nice little spread. And after talking to you, I understand you're loving life. So just really happy that you came on.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So out here in Southwest Montana right now, and you can see in the background, the haze is actually smoke from some fires. That the closest one there's one in Helena, which is northwest of where I'm at here. And then I think Oregon's on fire, California, so when there's fires west of us here, the jet stream just brings that smoke in. So otherwise, you're getting robbed a little bit of the view. But it is fire season here, so that's kind of a thing we have out west here. That's a bit of a downer that didn't necessarily have to deal with much back east. But I did hear last year you guys had some smoke come through there, if I remember right.
Yeah, they were real bad last year. Go ahead, Hollywood.
It was different, yeah, for me, because I never experienced before. It was real hazy. Like everybody was staying inside. I was still out fishing, but yeah, you could tell it was on your breath. And end of the day, it's in your eyes. But it was different. But that's different to think that that's what you're kind of used to out there.
Yeah, July, August, unfortunately, it's, well, even into September, depending moisture and this and that. So it's it's always a thing, and it's just kind of how bad is it going to be and how long of duration are we going to deal with it. So we're kind of just getting into it right now. Had a fair amount of moisture leading up until now, and actually we had snow here June 20th. So that's kind of how drastic things are. We had 4 or 5 inches of snow June 20th, and then it turned like 90 degrees in town a week or so later. So
yeah, it's been a really hot summer here. So hot and dry, and we need it, when the rain comes through, it's thunderstorm or something like that. But we need some good soaking.
Here, I got to show you guys something here. So I have, see the deer right behind me?
Yeah. Oh. Is that Tink?
That is Tink. So she was hand raised by us. And I guess long story short, our dogs, sorry, I got flies are kind of bad at the moment, but our dogs one night, I usually put them in at night just so they're not chasing bears all night or getting
Right.
into stuff. And I come out to put them away one evening, and I hear this terrible like bawling sound. And at that point in time, we had a bunch of goats, and we had just gotten them. So I thought, oh no, didn't take very long. The dog's got a goat. So see in the moonlight, one of them comes running across the yard out here with something hanging out of its mouth. Well, that was Pink, and so I got her away from the dog, and she wasn't in terrible shape. It kind of, carried her around like a chew toy. So
Right.
I sat her out there for the night and thought maybe mom would come back, slim chance, see what happened. And we brought her in the house and bottle fed her, and then she lived with the goats for about a year out in a fenced area here. And then one day she jumped out, and now she is a free range, just a normal free range deer. She's got 2 fawns right now as well, but she chooses when to bring them around, when not to. So usually early morning, late evening, she brings them in. So yeah, that's the story there. So I'm glad she popped by and you guys got to see that.
Well, I was going to ask because I was checking out the website and I saw a picture of all the goats with this deer named Tink in the background. So I'm glad you got to it before I did because I was going to ask you about Tink.
Yeah, I wasn't even paying attention. I heard her snort and then, kind of turned around. So she she spends some time out here. She'll, sometimes we won't see her for a day or so, but here lately she's been here every day. And again, third group of fawns that she's had. So it's interesting to see that how productive one doe can be, right, and what a difference, like in your deer herd or what have you, how those does can increase the population.
Oh yeah,
big, and it's been very fascinating. I mean, I've learned quite a bit about deer from just observing her and watching what she eats and just various things like that. So it's been a really cool experience, and I'm kind of glad that it wasn't a buck that came along, because she's pretty safe up here. It's a lot different than PA. We don't really, she probably hasn't seen any other hunters or anything like that. So, but the bucks may cover a little more territory, and once they get to a certain age, it'd kind of be hard to be, have them not be harvested, I guess.
Sure. And
anyhow, I didn't mean to get off topic, but
no, it's all good, man. It's a great segue, and we'll rabbit trail as we go, man. So, I mean, for us, this is a good introduction to any of our listeners to who you are and how we know each other. And we don't really have an agenda for the call today or the show, but essentially, I'd like to give you an opportunity to talk about the bee farm and what you're doing out there, and then, the benefits of that to nature. But then, we can spend a little bit of time talking hunting and, how combining passions, everything sort of nature and outdoors, there's this weaving of a thread, where everything feeds one another, just like as you're talking about that doe who is on the property and you sort of watched her from baby on up. You learn things as you witness. And, that's what we're always doing. We're trying to learn. So one of the things we to say is there's always somebody out there that knows more about stuff than what we do. And that's why we bring people on. And, ultimately what I want to do is I got to get Brady. He's got to hear some stories. So This is going to be a great opportunity. I know he already started talking to you about some questions. He's heard me talk about things, but I don't think he believes me on a lot of that stuff. So you can lend some insights on those things.
Yeah, for sure. So what kind of stuff have you heard, Brady? Nothing but good things, I'm sure, right?
Yeah, of course, man. But yeah, I'm really eager just to dive in, just how you chose to, venture out west and kind of set up your own shop and start your thing there with the bees. And you right now it looks like you're living my dream. So I'm just eager to hear, you tell your tale on that.
Yeah. Well, if we want to get into that, I'd be more than happy to kind of tell you guys how that transpired, because honestly, I don't know if Ron and I ever really even, I know we kind of briefly kind of touch base on that, but um, really what got me out west here, of course, we all love the outdoors. We're all, we all love to hunt, fish, what have you. And, when I was back in PA, kind of just out of school, and I did go to kind of did college at Hack and actually got a 2-year degree there, but did it part time while trying to work. So it takes forever. And then it was at that point where it's like, well, what do you want to do? And we have a family friend that is an outfitter in central Idaho. And one day I was just like, you know what? I want to get a guide's license and guide hunt. Just boom, there's an epiphany. And I talked to my dad, and I'm like, this is something I would really love to do. Would you mind just kind of connecting me with these guys? Because they were friends of his, and I had never really met them. He had hunted with them, what have you. So get a hold of them, and they're like, yeah, we'll give you a try if you want to come out here, and we'll get you a guide's license as long as you make it through summer. And part of kind of the prerequisite was all summer they do horse camps for kids. And so they bring kids up from Boise, which is in the valley, kind of the city. So they're bringing city kids up to the country, teach them everything about horses, how to ride, how to saddle. They stay in wall tents. You're out there and in the national forest. So it's really cool setup. And, you survive these kids, you learn how to ride, you learn the land, and we'll get you guide's license. So I show up, this is like May, and this is 2008. Show up in May and had ridden a horse once in my life, but I was so young that was kind of, when I had ridden, I didn't remember anything about it, or it was, just a trail ride where they sit you on the horse and you follow around. So kind of had to start from scratch with the horses, and made it through the summer, learned everything, learned, of course, the area by riding horses with all these kids and, doing pack trips and this and that. And then September rolls around and start guiding hunts. Of course, archery, and then into rifle that year. And I didn't go back to PA until would have been about November. So lived in a wall tent from May through November that year out there in Idaho, and that planted the seed. After that, it was inevitable. I'm like, I'm going to be somewhere out here, and just don't know when or how it's going to happen. But, that's in a nutshell how I ended up out west here. And Montana wasn't, of course, Idaho was the first place on my radar because that's where I was at. I knew the area, loved it there. And then just for various reasons, kind of gravitated, started coming more this way. And then I guess the rest is history. Found the property here, and it checked all the boxes. And fortunately, at that point in time, was able to make it happen.
Yeah, I'd imagine like, going out and spending a few months living in, like you say, living in a tent, being out in the national forests. You're either going to love that or you're going to hate it, right? And so, obviously, it sounds like it ticked the box for you. Um, it's an
Yeah,
interesting story, man.
yeah, for sure. I mean, you learn and you hit the nail on the head. I don't think, and you're alone a lot of times, but when nobody was there, you're there by yourself. You don't have your family, and you've got a wall, and of course you got no electricity, no nothing. So you're either going to embrace that or
Right.
not. And another thing is when you're alone quite a bit, you learn a lot of things about yourself. And it's, and again, I think that's another thing. You're either going to embrace that type of thing or not. Even if you're a big outdoors guy, not everybody is kind of um, together to be by themselves for extended periods of time.
Hmm.
So it's a good test for yourself. But yeah, I mean, it was awesome. Great folks out there. I still keep in contact and guided for them out there for several years. And actually, it was back there, yes, about 2 years ago. Did a week for him in archery, kind of as a not a last minute favor, but somewhat like that. So it was kind of great to be back and the old stomping grounds out there.
Yeah,
So
there's something nostalgic about going back home, when you've been away for a while.
yeah, yeah, for sure. So
So how did you get into let's touch on the business, because I certainly want to promote your business. So I want to make sure that I get this right. Alpine Peaks.
yes, yep. So Alpine have a few different business entities. Alpine Peaks is our retail store, and that's in town Livingston. Uh, so we just started that about, I guess, a little over a year. So last March we opened up. So a little over a year. That's been going well, um, very well actually. And the bee business that we started with is called Alpine Honeybee Farm. So that's kind of what got us started. We used to do a bunch of like uh, kind of farmers market type of things, and it was our
Right.
side gig for a while. Like I had mentioned to you, we had another business that was kind of taking all of our attention at that point in time, and we started with the bees kind of as a side deal, and then kind of had a career change, sold that other business and opened the retail store here in town, and kind of just expanded upon the bee thing, and it's done well for us, and it's been very enjoyable. Less stress, just and we're in a Livingston is a very touristy town. It's kind of the original jumping off point to go to Yellowstone.
All right.
So any given day, I talk to people from numerous states across the country, different countries. It's very interesting. And if something interests me and somebody comes in from, say, Tennessee, and I want to know what's happening there or whatever, I just, you have conversation with these folks, and it's amazing the things you can learn just by in somebody's brain or just being interested genuinely in other
Yeah.
folks and kind of what's happening in their neck of the woods. So it's been fun.
Yeah, I'm sure, especially with how disconnected you are from the world in the sense of, how far away you are from everything, and it's good to just touch base and have that human connection, which ultimately the world's kind of drifting away from. So it's awesome that you're able to kind of reconnect with that and embrace it.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. And the cool thing is I try to be a like somewhat of an ambassador for Montana here in general and the outdoors, because a lot of these people are coming from city areas, and they come mainly for Yellowstone, of course, but the fact that they're interested, they're interested in the wildlife. They want to learn things, and kind of like the podcast here, it's fun when people just show a little interest, and they may be from a different walk of life, but I'm going to show them a little piece of what it's like to be in the country, to maybe open their eyes to things like hunting and the outdoor things that aren't normally associated with city folk, I guess, put it
Yeah.
pretty plainly.
Yeah, I follow what you're saying. I mean, you see like what Hollywood does and television and everything, and like they almost like romanticize this, living on the ranch and being outdoors and that sort of thing. But when people like step into that world, there's a lot of work that's involved, and being successful with that outdoor lifestyle, you know. And so when you have people that are, like you said, showing a little bit of interest, um, you want to educate them and teach them what you know. Like the way I see it, Brett, we all have something that we carry that someone else doesn't know about, And if I can rub up against somebody that can teach me something, or I can show them something, it may be second nature to me because the way I was brought up and the things that I was taught. But there are a lot of people out there that they don't know how to, fix a doorknob or, change a light switch or, just basic stuff that, splitting firewood or handling a chainsaw or whatever it might be.
Yeah. There's some of the stuff we take for granted, I think, is just everyday life and what have you. It's been interesting to see the different walks of life come through here, and the fact that simple things like people seeing a deer or like a red-tailed hawk, things that I may see every day, and like having a deer right in my yard here, you kind of take for granted that people come out here and you're like, they're pulled off the side of the road taking a picture of a deer, but that may be the first deer they've seen, as strange as that sounds, or maybe that's something just new and different to them, and it's a big deal. And I think it's cool that they actually care about it, is what I like. They show interest. They're, they may live in the city limits somewhere, but at least they have an interest that there is a different side to this life, other than being so wrapped up in all the all the stuff that goes on these days, and all the, not that I've never been a social media guy. I get it's got great benefit to it, but I think sometimes when people step away from that stuff, they realize that nature is the real world. We fabricated everything else. And that's another thing, going back to Idaho, you kind of become an amateur philosopher. Mm-hmm. You realize this is what's real. And when you go back to town or the city or whatever, this is just stuff we've created, So I consider nature to be the real world. So when people say, I got to go back to the real world, to me, that doesn't mean you're going back to town. You know?
I love that, man. Nature's the real world. We fabricated everything else.
I'm so glad I'm so glad you chose to record where you're at right now rather than in your living room, man. That's one thing that I'm sitting here thinking.
The light may not be the best, but yeah, I thought you guys would like it. Kind of give you a little glimpse of, kind of what I got out here in the front yard.
Yeah, we love it, man. So tell me, I want to talk about what you're doing with the bees and the benefits of bees to nature. You said you give you give talks, right? You're, like you said, you're an advocate. So what is it that inspired you to get into that? I know you said it started out as a hobby, But then maybe I just give you the platform here and let you talk a little bit about the benefits to nature and conservation, how it all ties together.
Yeah, yeah, sure. Just to start the whole bee thing, coming out to Montana, it was just the ability to have some form of livestock that didn't require attention every minute of every day, like horses, or
Right.
how it goes,
It's
that
hard
you could
work.
actually, yeah. So we started getting kind of doing some research and getting into it, and also a lot of states have some tax benefits when you're in livestock, of course. So like ag designations for your property and what have you. So of course that was kind of an appealing little thing on the side too.
Mm-hmm.
But just kind of grew, got some bees, grew the number of hives, and just kept expanding, and found out how fascinating they are. They're just so efficient. They're just everything they do to me is fascinating. So that was kind of the fun part. I didn't really know at that time that I would get so kind of enthusiastic about it. Um, but and so it grew from there, and now we work with a tour company, which we just started doing this year, and a friend of mine from Colorado works with this company, and so they actually come out, they do some glamping stuff here on the property, and then kind of an option for these folks is to add like a beekeeping experience, they call it, to their vacation. So they come down, they get suited up, and we kind of start with a briefing about a little bit about bees, and you know, and then of course they're here, they want to jump right in, they want to dig into the hives and see what's happening, and so we open a few hives, we show them a queen, we just kind of go over everything that is involved with it, and people are generally pretty fascinated with with the bees, and that's been fun as well, and that kind of goes back to showing people some different things that maybe they haven't seen before, and back to, I guess, to answer your question about the benefits of having bees. Of course, everybody knows that the pollination and fruit production, crop production, stuff like that is that's kind of the first and foremost thing, I guess, as far as I apologize. It looks like I got a fly trying to crawl in the camera here. Um, that's kind of the biggest thing. I'm not a big stats guy. I can't rattle off all these statistics about this percentage of that and what they
Sure.
actually do for the overall picture of everything. But I can tell you, as far as the outdoor enthusiast and food plots and gardens and stuff like that, if you've got some bees around, things thrive. Our lawn out here has turned into predominantly clover here lately, and I attribute that to the bees just you know um, taking care of everything, and it does make things more prolific. Even dandelions, and then some certain things you may not want. We have a bunch of they call them noxious weeds out here that kind of outcompete native grasses and things like that. And of course, those type of things will be a little more prolific too with bees around. But that's kind of the cool thing is you can see it firsthand. From the first year that we had bees till now, the amount of wildflowers, the amount of natural growth of everything out here around the property has been very noticeable. So it's kind of a cool thing the whole way around. And but yeah, go ahead, Ron.
Yeah, no, I was just going to ask, for those people that are listening and might be interested in learning more, or what kind of products do you guys sell in the store? Because I know you can buy online, and I did check it out a little bit, but why don't you just let the listeners know? Like, I mean, obviously honey, but I know you guys are selling more than just honey, right?
Yeah, for sure. We most people have heard of Burt's Bees, um, and kind of are familiar with the products they have. So we do a lot of things somewhat similar to Burt's Bees as far as different things that involve products from the hive, whether it be beeswax, propolis, what have you. So, of course, we have honey, we have lip balms, lotions, um, soaps, and then beyond that, we have and not necessarily related to the bees, but we have a whole section of canned goods and kind of we call it a country store, Alpine Peaks country store. So kind of bringing back more of the old school um, country store, I guess
Yeah.
is just the best way to put it. We also do spring and fall beekeeping classes for local folks, free of charge. Anybody that's interested, they just jot their name down, and we give them a call when the classes start, and just to help facilitate people that may want to may or may not want to be involved with bees. They think they want to, and then sometimes when you explain everything to them, and they just want to learn about it. So either way, we welcome everybody, and we sell some beekeeping equipment more just on a local level. We really don't get involved with the shipping part of the equipment. We'll sell suits, boxes, hive boxes, all the necessary equipment for somebody to get started. Um, and then beyond that, in the store, we kind of we try to bring in as much local stuff as we can. If we don't make the product, we try to find a local person that does, or within the state of Montana, because it's became very evident when we opened the store that not just local folks, but tourists, they all want Montana stuff. They
Hmm.
want to know it was made here. They want to know they're infatuated with it. So we try to keep everything as local as possible. But and it's been fun kind of sourcing stuff. I mean, we have some random stuff in there from knives to um, cup made out of cattle horns to just
Right.
all kinds of cool stuff. That's been fun as well. Just figuring out interesting things we can bring in and and what have you. So
I love it,
um,
man. I'm gonna have to come out and visit and check it out for sure.
oh, absolutely, yeah,
Yeah, put her name on that B list. I think it's so neat and fascinating because I'm sure similar to how you started with your guiding services, which I'm not sure if you're still keeping up with that, which you probably are, but you got apprenticed in and you kind of learned the craft from another guy, and I'm sure with the beehive stuff you had to learn from someone that knew a lot about it, and now you're giving back to the community and the local community and just passing the torch.
yeah, absolutely, and you know, beekeeping has gotten more popular here lately. I think people are more aware of the bees are beneficial, and we would be in pretty bad shape if the bees disappeared.
Yeah.
As a whole, um, food production, especially, of course. But the fact that more people are getting interested, actually, I read an article, there's been an increase here lately in the number of bees as opposed to, we always hear about how they're decreasing and what have you. But just the fact that more people are interested, and when more people are interested and value or actually see the value of something, they start to care about it a little more in general. True. And I think that's what we've seen here lately. And, you know, a lot of people out here want to just have a hive or two in their backyard. And of course, the more people that do that, the more bees we have out there, and the more chance that we have that they don't go back to a place where they're in trouble or what have you. And of course, man has been part of the problem. With bees were fine on their own for the longest time, and then of course man has a way of getting involved, and you know, we think we're doing our best work, and sometimes that's, you know, it's not always the most beneficial for everything out there, and you know, so that kind of led to certain problems that bees didn't have historically, that after we started, you know, keeping them as livestock, we kind of created some of the issues that they've had.
Sometimes the best thing to do is just let nature alone.
Absolutely. Yeah.
You know, and it'll take care of itself. So very cool. I want to talk hunting with you a little bit, but for anybody that wants to check out your online store, where can they find you?
Yeah, it's alpinepeaksmt.com. Alpine Peaks MT, like Montana.com.
Great. And we'll put the link to that in the chat here at the end of the podcast. Well, hunting family, that wraps up part 1 of our interview with Brett Garretson. We've had a fantastic time hearing about Brett's journey moving west, discovering his passion for the outdoors, and learning about the incredible benefits of beekeeping, along with his thriving business, Alpine Peaks. If you've enjoyed this episode, please make sure to like, share, subscribe to Tracks and Tackle. Your support means the world to us, and it helps keep the podcast going. Depending on how you're tuning in, don't forget to rate and review us on your favorite podcast platform, or subscribe to our YouTube channel. If you want to go the extra mile, consider becoming a monthly supporter. Your contributions help bring us more amazing content to you, and as always, you are our hunting family. Lastly, don't forget to check out Brett's business at alpinepeaksmt.com. Whether you're interested in learning more about beekeeping, or you just want to get your hands on some delicious honey and bee products, Alpine Peaks has you covered. Join us next time for part 2, where we're going to dive into wildlife of Montana and share some unforgettable stories from our youth. Till then, keep exploring the great outdoors and stay wild. See you next time, hunting family.